What if the quiet collapse of our national integrity is not a distant fear, but a crisis unfolding, unchecked, in broad daylight? Britain is being worn down not by forces beyond its control, but by a staggering lack of political courage, institutional failure, and a growing culture of appeasement disguised as inclusivity. The truth? We are becoming a nation paralyzed by our refusal to enforce the very laws that once defined our sovereignty. Our leaders speak of fairness and justice, yet stand idle while illegal workers flood our cities, while fake migration claims gut our welfare systems, and while policies meant to protect the vulnerable are dangled like bargaining chips in intra-party squabbles. This is not progress. It is decay. Illegal immigration, specifically the mass abuse of fast food delivery networks by undocumented workers using sublet accounts, is not just a problem. It's a national scandal. We're not dealing with a few rule benders trying to get by. We are witnessing an industrialized sub-economy fueled by Facebook backchannels and enabled by tech platforms that turn a blind eye. Up to 50% of deliveries are being carried out by people who have no legal right to work. That is half the sector operating in the shadows, undermining legitimate workers, driving down wages, and sabotaging small businesses who play by the rules. And for what? So we can maintain the illusion of economic functionality while our immigration enforcement sleeps at the wheel? No democratic society can survive if its laws are treated as optional. And yet, that's precisely where we are. Government after government, blue or red, has avoided the hard, necessary task of restoring border control, not just physically but administratively. The loophole-ridden EU settlement scheme is now a backdoor pathway for those arriving on tourist visas, walking into corner shops and being coached on how to fabricate eligibility claims. This isn't migration, it's fraud. It mocks the millions of honest immigrants who follow legal channels, and it makes a mockery of every tax-paying citizen who expects public services to be protected, not plundered. Meanwhile, the welfare debate in Westminster has turned into a masterclass in political cowardice. Labour's recent blunder, a £5 billion welfare cut proposal followed by a panicked U-turn, did more than expose Starmer's fragile grip on leadership. It revealed the party's soul fracture. You cannot campaign as a champion of the working class while floating policies that threaten to gut disability payments without comprehensive impact assessments. You cannot promise reform, then retreat at the first sign of protest from your own benches. Leadership demands resolve, not reflexive backpedaling. What we're seeing is a dangerous convergence, a government unwilling to enforce the law, and an opposition incapable of offering clear alternatives. Starmer's concessions on PIP eligibility were not the product of deliberation but desperation. Stricter criteria for new applicants by 2026 is not a solution, it's a delay tactic. The proposed consultation with advocacy groups is political theater, and Labour's left flank knows it. That's why they're angry. That's why one of his own ministers walked. And that's why the Conservatives are grinning. Let's stop pretending that these are isolated policy missteps. What we are witnessing is a national erosion of accountability. Illegal workers. Shrug. Welfare reform chaos. Oh well. Migration fraud. Who's counting? And the cost isn't just monetary, it's cultural. A country that cannot enforce its own laws cannot preserve its identity. A government that cannot stand by its policies will not earn the public's respect. A political class that chooses ideological ambiguity over clarity will lose the very people it claims to represent. There is still time to turn this around, but not much. Reform UK, for all its critics, is striking a nerve because it is saying what many people are thinking but are too afraid to articulate, that Britain needs enforcement, not more excuses, courage, not consensus, competence, not empty platitudes. Yes, legal migration can be a net positive, but only if it's rigorously managed and transparently enforced. Yes, welfare must be sustainable, but not at the expense of society's most vulnerable, and not through sloppy rollouts and amateur hour reversals. This isn't about left or right anymore. It's about whether Britain has a political will to defend the basic principles of fairness, legality, and responsibility. If the major parties cannot rise to that challenge, they should step aside for those who can. The public is watching. They are not apathetic. They are angry. And soon, they will vote. The message is simple. Govern with strength or prepare to be replaced. Because a country is tired of fraud disguised as migration, tired of rhetoric without action, and tired of leaders who bend with every gust of political wind. Enough. It's time for a reckoning.